Good afternoon, my friends. Today, we continue the story of Max, a truck driver trying to survive in the harsh world of the freight business. In the previous episode, Max completed a delivery of 2 water tanks on a flatbed from Dijon to Frankfurt. That day, he arrived a bit late for unloading because he had to stop and rest to avoid getting fined for driving too long without a break. But in any case, the cargo was delivered, and although the logistics company slightly reduced the payment, Max still earned €820. The total distance covered that day was 588 kilometers. You've probably already noticed that Max is no longer sitting in the cab of his old DAF. Let me explain what happened. A few days ago, the bank increased Max's credit limit to €50,000, but with one condition: he had to pay off his old debt of €20,000. It sounded like a great deal, but Max only had a little under €14,000, which wasn't enough to repay the loan. So he decided to sell his 2017 DAF on the used truck market. Surprisingly, he got a decent offer, €12,600. Max accepted the deal, and with that money, he finally had enough to pay off his previous loan, which was just under €20,000. After clearing the debt, he immediately took the new loan of €50,000. In total, Max now had almost €57,000 in hand. Of course, the next step was to buy a new used truck. This time, he decided to go for something with a more powerful engine. There were plenty of affordable options on the market, but only a few were in good condition. In the end, Max chose a Mercedes Actros, a newer model from 2018, with a mileage of 1,135,000 kilometers. Surprisingly, it was even cheaper than the DAF he had just sold. He paid only €11,800 for it. After buying the truck, Max still had a significant amount of loan money left, about €45,000. Wanting to grow his business, he decided to invest further and bought his very first trailer, a basic curtain-side trailer for €34,700. It was expensive, but brand new. After all these purchases, he was left with €10,350, which should help cover any unexpected expenses. What happens next? We'll soon find out. Whether it was the right decision to buy both a truck and a trailer at once, and whether Max will be able to handle a €50,000 debt. So, Max returned to his garage in Berlin and immediately decided to take a trial job to Hamburg. From now on, he'll be driving with his own trailer, which should increase his earnings per job. Today's cargo is explosives for a quarry, a very dangerous load weighing 12 tons. The distance to Hamburg is 286 kilometers, and the payment will be €780. Overall, it's not the highest paying job, but that's not the main point. Max urgently needs to get to Bremen, and Hamburg is only about 90 kilometers away from it. So instead of driving empty, he decided to take this delivery. And why he needs to get to Bremen so badly, I'll tell you in the next episodes of our journey. So let's head out for loading and make our way to Hamburg. By the way, if you watch this episode until the end, you'll see just how extreme the road conditions will get for Max, and whether he'll even make it to the destination in one piece, or if this is where our journey ends. You definitely haven't seen anything like this before. Well, here we are on the road, and to make the time pass a little faster, let me tell you about our destination, the German city of Hamburg. Hamburg is one of the most unique and distinctive cities in Germany, creating a sense of freedom and movement from the very first moments. It is the second largest city in the country after Berlin, but its atmosphere is very different from most German cities. Hamburg is, above all, a city of water, ports, and ships, where life has been connected to the sea and trade for centuries. It stands on the Elbe River, which flows into the North Sea, and thanks to this location, it has become one of the largest ports in Europe. The history of Hamburg goes far back. Many centuries ago, it was an important member of the Hanseatic League, a powerful alliance of trading cities in northern Europe. Thanks to trade, Hamburg grew rich and developed rapidly, becoming one of the key economic centers of the region. It is even called the Free and Hanseatic City, highlighting its special status and long tradition of independence. Unlike many other German cities, Hamburg has always strived for autonomy and has largely shaped its own destiny. The city has gone through difficult times more than once. About 2 centuries ago, it was devastated by a massive fire, and during World War II, it suffered heavy bombing. However, each time Hamburg rebuilt itself, and today it combines modern districts with historical architecture. One of the most interesting areas is the warehouse district known as Speicherstadt. It is a complex of red brick buildings standing on wooden piles over the water. Narrow canals, bridges, and old warehouses create a special atmosphere that takes you back to the time when goods like coffee, tea, and spices were brought here from all over the world. Hamburg is impossible to imagine without its port. It is not just an industrial zone, but a true symbol of the city. Huge container ships, cranes, and terminals make it one of the busiest ports in Europe. There is constant movement and energy here, and the life of the city literally revolves around the water. It is no coincidence that Hamburg is called the gateway to the world, because goods from all corners of the planet pass through it. Despite its industrial power, Hamburg remains a very green and comfortable city. There are many parks, tree-lined streets, and waterways. In the city center lies the large Alster Lake, where locals love to walk. In warm weather, you can see boats, yachts, and people relaxing by the water. This creates a striking contrast with the busy business districts and the port, where work never stops. Hamburg is also known for its cultural life. There are many theaters, museums, and concert venues. One of the most famous modern symbols of the city is the Elbphilharmonie, a unique building that combines an old warehouse with a modern glass structure on top. It has become not only an architectural landmark, but also an important cultural center where musicians from all over the world perform. There is also another side of Hamburg, the district of St. Pauli, which is known for its nightlife. This is where the famous Reeperbahn is located, filled with bars, clubs, and entertainment venues. This area is very different from the calm and orderly German neighborhoods and shows a more free and even rebellious side of the city. Modern Hamburg is a major economic center, home to international companies, logistics hubs, and industrial enterprises. Thanks to its port and developed infrastructure, it plays a key role in global trade. At the same time, it remains a comfortable place to live, combining business activity, cultural richness, and closeness to nature. Hamburg gives the impression of a city that is always in motion. You can feel both the breath of history and the energy of modern life. It may seem strict and businesslike at first glance, but at the same time, it has a special sense of freedom connected to the sea and the roads leading to different parts of the world. This combination makes Hamburg a unique place where the past and the present come together, creating an atmosphere that is hard to find anywhere else. That was a short and informative virtual tour of our destination. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new and interesting. And now, Max continues his journey. Well, that terrible trip has finally come to an end. Max has never experienced anything like this on the road before. How he even made it out alive is hard to believe. But the important thing is that everything ended well, and the explosives cargo has been delivered safely. Today, our driver earned 780 euros, which means another productive day. After deducting all additional transport expenses, his total balance now stands at 11,127 euros. Max now owns a used 2018 Mercedes truck, his own trailer, and has a bank loan of 50,000 euros. But he stays positive and continues his journey towards success. If you enjoyed this story and want to see even more exciting adventures of Max on the road, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications. Trust me, it's only going to get more interesting. New jobs and new challenges are waiting for Max just around the next corner. Don't miss a single episode of this thrilling adventure. Stay with us on the road.